I had a miscarriage. We got the green light, and that first month of trying, we were able to conceive.
If you've been struggling with secondary infertility, feeling sluggish or frustrated with stubborn weight that just won't budge, you need to hear Bianca's story. She went from pregnancy losses and not understanding her body to finally recognizing the signs it was giving her. And now she's pregnant, giving her first child a sibling. That's right. Let me ask you this one thing. Have you noticed changes in your cycle, your energy, or your body that have you worried about your fertility and have you scratching your head? Maybe you've been trying to conceive and something just feels off. Or you've heard conflicting advice about what's normal and what's not, and you're confused. Have you been trying to lose that weight while improving your fertility with no luck? The truth is, there are real signs your fertility might be declining, but understanding those signs can help you take the right steps to address them before it's too late. The same thing happened to her. She was a member of my program and was trying for some time for her second child. She had a miscarriage and felt like something was just off, but she just didn't know what it was. And she was looking for answers. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Marc Sklar. I'm a natural fertility expert specializing in functional medicine for over 22 years. I've been helping women just like you and like Bianca in this video uncover the root causes of their fertility challenges and take back control of their journey to motherhood. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what she did to get results so you can learn the steps to support your body and finally get pregnant too. Don't miss this. Your success story could be the next one. And before we get started, if you've been trying to get pregnant without success, I want to personally invite you to book a complimentary fertility consultation with my team. On this call, we'll take a deep dive into your unique fertility journey, uncover potential roadblocks, and map out a clear, personalized roadmap to help you optimize your fertility naturally. I'm going to leave the link below for you to click on. All right, as always, we're going to hear from Bianca first, and then I'm going to chime in with my thoughts. And at the end, I'm going to summarize what she's saying and how you can integrate that into your fertility plan. So stick with me till the end.
Before I spoke with you guys, I was 37. I had one child that I had conceived without any issues. The first try, so I was very blessed there. And then following that, when we decided we were ready to start for a second, I had a chemical pregnancy, and then I had a miscarriage at six weeks, and I was 37 at the time. You know, I felt like I had already gone through a little bit, and I didn't want to go through more, or I wanted to try and do what I could to avoid going through further frustration and pain and all of that.
So I'm going to stop here. I want to make a couple of notes. First and foremost, chemical pregnancies are fairly common, unfortunately. It doesn't mean that you have to live with them or that you shouldn't do anything. I'm just making a point that they are very common to see. Same for miscarriages. And the difference here is typically, and I'm sure this was the case when she spoke to her OB, is that they would say that because these are so common, you should just keep trying. You're young enough, nothing to worry about in her situation. Many of you may have heard the same thing, or you haven't had enough losses that would require me to do additional testing or to support you in a different way. I want all of you to know you don't have to take that as the answer and the path forward. Bianca didn't. She recognized that she didn't want to go through this heartache again. She didn't want to go through these challenges again, and she wanted to make sure that she did something about it. And so that's why she reached out to me to work with me and my team in the HOPE program. And I want all of you to know is that you don't have to wait for all that textbook losses before you seek proper help. Okay? Now we'll keep listening to Bianca.
I had fibroids in my uterus, but that wasn't an issue for me to get pregnant with my first son. I had them beforehand. So I don't know if Marc was diagnosing me more with like unexplained infertility or just recurrent miscarriages, because I had those two, back to back kind of. But I had, aside from like menstrual or fertility things, I was extremely tired all the time, even though I was sleeping like 8 or more hours a night through the night. Just didn't really have a lot of energy and trying to lose weight, but not also losing weight, even though I was eating pretty good. So there was something going on, and I really didn't feel like myself. And I kind of chalked it up to like, oh, moms are always tired because that's what you hear. But I know that that was wrong.
Actually, before she continues, I will say, look, life is different after you've had a child. Things are not the same as they were before. You were priority number 1 before. Now you're maybe priority 4, 5, or 6 if you're lucky on that list of priorities on any given day. And some of that is rightly so. You've got a child to take care of. She has a child to take care of. It doesn't mean you have to feel terrible, feel fatigued. You should still feel good even if you don't have time for yourself. So that was the first sign for her that something was off. It's very common to see after a pregnancy, it could be the first pregnancy, it could be 2 or 3 pregnancies down the road, whatever that time frame is, because it's unique and different for each one of you. It's not uncommon to see things change hormonally with your endocrine system, with your immune system, with your body overall. And so that is something we see on a regular basis. Actually, I will tell you, every week I speak to someone who has a similar presentation to Bianca, okay, that we're supporting in the HOPE program. And it's absolutely something that we see regularly, and that I do believe and know from experience that with the right support, we can also see positive change. Okay, and that's where we're headed with Bianca.
Definitely some sort of imbalances and whatever going on within me. So we did some more testing, some blood work, and we did some hormonal testing, which was really interesting too. And we kind of discovered that I probably have a sluggish, he called it sluggish thyroid. Yeah. So not really hypothyroidism, but I think he said subclinical hypothyroidism, which the normal test, my gynecologist had tested it, and it was within normal ranges, but not necessarily within the range that Marc likes to see it. So that really helped to explain the energy and why I wasn't losing weight. I think specifically, not that I was, overweight, but somebody working out, doing some sort of activity and not seeing the scale is also frustrating.
Okay, so I want to bring up this point as she was mentioning sluggish thyroid. So this is something we see very, very regularly with women postpartum at some point. I would say probably about 50% of those women we support have some sort of sluggish thyroid. And Bianca wouldn't technically be diagnosed with hypothyroidism because her TSH levels are in the normal reference range, but they are on the high side of what I'm comfortable with, but low enough that her endocrinologist or OB wouldn't medicate her for, okay? But I still felt like that needed to be supported because that wasn't an issue previously, and now we're seeing that change. And if we don't address it now, all we're going to do is just see that continue to climb over time. So why wait for it to become clinically abnormal? Let's address it now.
And so we worked on my thyroid and some of my hormones as well. Did some diet changes. I had followed Marc also for probably 5 months or so before I actually reached out. I think a lot of people are probably hesitant. Like somehow I think some doctor I follow, a naturopath, tagged him in a post, and I said, oh, that's interesting given my situation. I started following him because I'm more interested in natural health. So I followed him because it's hard. You're meeting somebody on Instagram. Is it real or is it a scam? Like, how do I know? And if you're just going to invest money in this and your body and trust in somebody, I wanted to hopefully have the right person. Mm-hmm. And so I followed Marc for a long time because of that. I wish I would have reached out earlier, but before, just even following him, he had a lot of great content, but also because of my situation, I didn't know. It was a little bit of guesswork. Like, well, am I recurrent? Is it fibroids? Do I have estrogen dominance? What is it that I have?
What is it?
And something that I always thought I had was estrogen dominance, but given the tests, it actually showed that my estrogen was kind of okay, but it was something else that was going on. So that was really nice to kind of, and also eye-opening, like, you kind of tell yourselves these truths, but it's not necessarily a truth. And so once he gave me a plan, it was a lot easier in the sense that, like, I didn't have to worry about if I was doing the right thing anymore. Even though you still kind of question, you're like, oh, I have to do this? Like, is this really going to work? But it was nice knowing, having the confidence that he's helped so many women and just have the confidence from him, and that I didn't have to worry about that, because I think stress is also a big factor.
One of the peace of minds that many people gain by joining my Hope coaching program, and for those of you watching, we support women all over the world in the program who never have to come to California for care. Bianca mentioned it. She mentioned just that peace of mind. Knowing that you've got us on your corner to support you and guide you and to lean on when you have questions is a huge relief and stress reliever. And she kind of alluded to that. We hear that quite frequently. Our bodies, our hormones are not so straightforward. So to have somebody look things over and then guide you like we did for Bianca, and she mentioned, I thought it was this, but then it was really something different, right? So that is a huge, huge benefit for all of our members. And she was just speaking to that point.
It was really easy for me in that sense. For me, my plan was, diet, nothing totally drastic, kind of on the path that I already was, but with some tweaks and a little more strict with adhering to that. And then just, a few, the supplements and exercise.
Sometimes diet doesn't have to be this major overhaul. Sometimes it is for many of our members, but for many it's not. It's some slight adjustments and tweaks. And the biggest thing is being held accountable. She's not holding herself accountable. She has to report to me and my team about her progress, right? And what she's doing. So to be able to do that, she's got to be on point, right? So someone else is holding her accountable. It's much easier to stick to things when that happens.
Stress, and so stress management, which was interesting, and I really liked some of the stuff that he incorporated. And then I did the 3-month plan, and once we got the green light to go ahead trying, I decided to do a few more months follow-up with him.
What she means by that is after we do our initial evaluation, we create a personalized plan for all of our members, and Bianca was no different. We usually ask everyone to put in a certain amount of time with that plan. Everyone's a little bit different. It could be 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. So I asked her to put in an initial 3 months to lay the foundation and then go from there. So we do have some women who conceive very quickly. Bianca wasn't one of them. On average, she fell into the average where she conceived afterwards, and that's typically where we see conception happen.
Because I was hopeful to get pregnant, and I wanted the extra support for the first trimester, because that's where I had difficulty before in the first trimester holding that pregnant. We are pregnant. I'm 21 weeks already, so we got the green light, and that first month of trying, we were able to conceive. And so Marc provided me support throughout the first trimester, told me which supplements to slowly start weaning off of and what to increase. And
she was successful once she had the go-ahead. Like sometimes I ask members not to try for a period of time. I asked her not to try for a period of time. And then once we gave her the green light, she was able to conceive. But she wasn't out of the woods, right? We had to get past that first trimester because of her previous experience. So much of her success was laying the foundation and following through with my recommendations prior to trying. And that really makes a huge difference, or can make a huge difference for so many members.
And so it's just been good to have that extra support.
Yeah, for me, we love to be able to support everyone up until they get pregnant and throughout the pregnancy, although obviously we do that differently. And then just like she mentioned, it wasn't just about getting to that point. Then we modify the plan because now she's pregnant and we have to adjust things to account for that. So each stage of the game, modifications happen and we have to make adjustments. It's not always a linear path to the goal, to the ultimate goal. Sometimes there's a bump up, a progress, and then we plateau a little bit before we take that next leap. Each case is different. But in wrapping up and kind of building from what Bianca was saying, the first thing that I wanted to make sure of in her situation was that her menstrual cycle was on point and regular and consistent and predictable, and ovulation, and that she could track all of those things with the signs and symptoms that were at play for her. So that was the first piece, and we did that before her plan, right before I got her plan, while we were working to that moment in time. The next thing, as reading your body's signs and symptoms, is being able to understand what your body is telling you. So not just in terms of fatigue or sleep or exercise or whatnot, but listening to our body's signs and symptoms beyond that. In her case, one of the things I wanted to make sure of was that she was ovulating regularly and that she knew that she was ovulating. So one of the ways that we can know that we're ovulating is through cervical mucus, checking cervical mucus. We want to make sure that the cervical mucus is what we call egg white, sticky, stretchy, right? So if you took an egg, cracked it into a bowl and took out the yolk, you just had whites, it would be translucent, it would be sticky, stretchy, right, between your fingers. And that's what we're looking for her and for all of you around ovulation. Leading up to and during ovulation, we're looking for that. That creates a healthy environment for the sperm to be able to survive and make their way up to and through the cervix to get to the egg. And so that is also something that we wanted to make sure of. She did mention, right, she mentioned being fatigued and she mentioned weight gain. So when I looked at that, I wanted to make sure, because she was already pregnant before, and because I so routinely see this afterwards, I wanted to make sure that her thyroid was functioning properly, right? You heard her talk about that. She thought that it could be maybe estrogen dominance, and I'm not suggesting that weight gain couldn't be from that. But I did not suspect that in her situation with her history, right? So I wanted to make sure that we had to rule those things out. The only way to rule these things out is to test and not guess. So I sent her for lab work, and we were able to evaluate all her hormones, including her thyroid and her estrogen and all her labs. And what we saw was that her estrogen was fine, but her thyroid was not. And so that's where the main focus was for us. And so often that can actually lead to difficulties or challenges with holding a pregnancy in the first trimester. If any of this sounds familiar, please know that you're not alone, that it doesn't mean your fertility journey is over. This is your body's way of communicating with you that something really needs attention, and we need to listen. And there are so many steps that you can take to address these issues. If this video was useful and you're wondering, how can I be your personal fertility coach to help you improve your egg quality and your fertility? I want to invite you to book a personalized fertility assessment with my team. On this call, we will take a close look at your unique situation. We're going to uncover what's not letting you get pregnant and create a simple, clear plan to help you boost your fertility naturally. That's my goal, is to help you in as natural a way as possible. This isn't just another quick call. It's a chance to get real guidance and see if our Hope Fertility Program is the right fit for you. If you're ready to take the next step, then click below to book your free call with my team. Your fertility doesn't define you. And there's always hope when you have the right knowledge and tools. Start by booking your fertility assessment with me and my team, and I am here to support you every step of the way. Until the next video, stay fertile.